Welcome to the Freelance Unlocked Behind the Scenes series, where I'm showcasing the amazing people who will be at the Freelance Unlocked Conference, the first and the best conference for freelancers that is made with love, and it'll take place in Berlin on May 14th, 15th, 2025. If you are a freelancer in Europe, it's an event made for you to learn, exchange experiences, and build your network of great freelancers and experts who move the freelance economy forward. So go to freelanceunlocked.com and grab your ticket right away. My name is Yuri, I'm a community builder at Freelance Unlocked, and my guest is Patrick McGibney, a founder and managing director at McGibney Mentoring and Coaching, where he mentors IT professionals on scaling their businesses with standardized services and recurring revenue. So, hello, Patrick.
Hi, Yuri. Pleasure.
Happy to meet you even before the conference. So, let's start with the first question. How are you connected with the freelance world?
Yeah, it's a good question. I started as a freelancer back in 2011, so it's been a couple of years. I had my first and only, I guess, job where I was employed, and it was back in SAP as an SAP consultant. And then I thought, the stuff that I'm doing there, I could do on my own, and then I just started freelancing. And in the first 2 or 3 years, I had the usual problems that we all still have today, how to position, how to get clients, not just, being dependent on other partners, but, one step after another. Based on my freelancing, I started my first company, which was an SAP consulting company. And furthermore, I specialized in Microsoft Dynamics 365. Back then, it was a bit smaller than it is today. And later on founded another company group, or co-founded with one of my previous business partners. And ever since, been more or less building and scaling those companies a couple of years ago, until I eventually sold them. But I did the same steps. I started how to become a freelancer, how to work my ass off as a freelancer, moving my way up to, starting my own business and then growing that. So to say.
Why did you decide to switch into consulting part for IT experts?
It was, to be honest, it's a funny story actually, because when I was studying back in, 2008, 9, 10, something like that, I was searching for jobs, like which industry is good. And I was sitting with one of my best friends, still is today. And we were just Googling best paid jobs, and SAP consultants was number one. And we just said, let's become SAP consultants. And that was the journey, to be honest. And then we just learned.
That's how it works. I feel like it sounds like very similar as I chose a university where to go, because when parents ask me like, where do you want to go? I was like, I have no idea. Like, what is the best university? I'm like, okay, I'm going there. So
it's easy then.
Yeah,
you just create your path. Your path. Yeah.
So give me a sneak peek into what you'll be talking about on the Freelance Unlocked stage.
Yes, sure thing. So as I just mentioned, this is also what I want to share. I know how it is to start as a freelancer, how to position yourself as a freelancer, how to develop a real business, IT business in my case, out of the freelancing, and then being able to scale it. First to 5 to 6, later on to 7, or even higher figures. And that's exactly what I want to speak about, how to be able to set up a business structure out of a freelance position to be able to go to 6, 7, and later on even higher figures, especially for me on the IT market.
What is the difference between a solo freelancer and a person who runs a business?
That's a good question. A solo freelancer and the early stages of a founder or managing director or CEO, however you want to call it, entrepreneur, is, in my opinion, very similar. You are doing multiple jobs at the same time. You are responsible for the client delivery, for marketing, for sales, in case you have it, which a lot of people don't have. But you're doing a lot of things at the same time. The difference when you have a business, you learn how to structure processes, and you learn how to either outsource them, automate them, digitalize them in these days using AI. So I always say if you're becoming an entrepreneur, you're trying to rationalize yourself out of certain processes step for step. Maybe at the beginning, it's the client onboarding, later the delivery, later the lead gen or marketing, the accounting, the sales. So step for step, making yourself redundant and understanding how systems can take place instead of just adding your manpower or other manpower. I think this is a very important development. Thus, it's very, very difficult at the beginning to understand, because when we are a solopreneur or freelancer, all we know and all we have is our manpower. So adding new resources, it doesn't matter if it's people, system, processes, or anything, it's difficult to comprehend. But that's the switch, I believe, that's necessary to develop.
Am I hearing it correctly? When a freelancer moves more to the business owner, they move from an expert to more of this manager sales mix or something like that?
Yes, that's there's this, how do you call it, pyramid, the step for step, where you are here as a solopreneur or like an expert. Actually, even an expert can be employed. Then you're the solopreneur, a little bit higher. You absolutely know what you're doing, and then you're becoming an entrepreneur. Later on, a managing director, a CEO, then a founder in between. Then you can become later a mentor, an investor. So it's a step for step process. And yes, you start right here, and you work yourself up the ladder with new skills that you obviously learn. And I think this is also one of the challenges, because especially in the IT I've experienced in my last 15, 20 years, we have a pretty big ego because we are experts. The market needs those people. And that makes us think, founding a business, no problem. I can code, I can customize, and, all these big projects. But that's a very difficult or a very dangerous thinking, because it's also what I experienced. You do not have the tool set automatically. You might have the good soft skills for a good foundation, but there's hard skills that you need to learn to move up the ladder. And by all saying this, I'm not judging that a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or whatever is better or worse. It's just where you want to be. And this is also always a question that I ask people or clients that I work with. Where do you want to be? Because for some people, a really good solopreneurship, being a freelancer, is the perfect situation to be. Some want to have a team with 10 people. Some want to have 50 or 100 people. It depends where you want to be. All has advantages and disadvantages for sure.
Talking about this ladder, so how to handle this transition from doing the client work yourself to delegating or building a team?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I would say there's different kind of methodologies that you can use. The easiest way is simply getting at the beginning also like someone who shadow works to you. It can be a colleague and a freelancer, a different freelancer that helps you do the delivery. But it doesn't matter if it's an employee, a freelancer, or whatever. It's about standardizing processes in the delivery. So I always say the delivery process, if we just take this example, goes for all processes in a business. It's a very complex process. It could be like that long. Now I said, let's chunk it down. Let's chunk it out into 5 separate steps, for example. You have the onboarding, you have maybe the kickoff, then you have whatever, the implementation testing phase, however the delivery is. Let's take the first step and let's try to really define the single steps, like the sub steps. And then let's see, can we use some software that can help you automate these steps, or can we use another freelancer, a resource, or even an employee that can help you do this? So now you're leveraging other resources and you're freeing yourself up a bit from the delivery process. And if you take that step for step, chunk for chunk, that's how you can build the first, people working with you or for you and working your way up the ladder again.
I feel like it's always about starting with small steps, always about giving just a small task to someone else. Because I'm asking, because me personally, I'm like, I have to delegate, I have to explain the task, I have to deliver, I have to check the task, whatever, it's easier to do it.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Happened to me as well, because you have to invest more time to train someone to systemize something or to use a software. It takes time, but the leverage afterwards, that's what we're talking about. It starts. That's why a lot of people are talking about using systems or processes, because just by standardizing and defining certain steps within a process, you can start training people. If the whole delivery process is always like, oh, a new client, I don't know where to start. Well, how do you want to train someone? So it's really chunking it down and trying to reduce the complexity of everything. It's the same if we talk about the accounting process, or the lead generation, marketing and sales as a whole. You always try to chunk it down and try to see how you can free yourself up and make yourself not dependent of yourself.
Am I hearing it correctly that a good way for freelancers to start is to create a system, write it down step by step, go through it themselves, understand that it works, and then train the person on it?
Yes, that's a very good way. That's also how I recommend the clients that we are working with, really not do it very not complex, so to say, that decomplex the whole process. And then we can see some things these days we can really use and leverage AI or automation. So it depends on which process we're thinking. But then, of course, in the delivery, we need to have other people helping us. And we're chunking it down. And then we can train, because if we do certain things repeatedly in the same way, then we are, first of all, getting better, because if we train ourselves doing it one thing, we get better. It's the same like, going to the gym. It's the same in the business, and we can train people, and it gives us the possibility to bring people on board.
What are some of the most common mistakes that freelancers make when trying to grow their business, and how can they avoid them?
Very good questions. Again, I would say number one, that I hear very often, the client only wants to work with me. Like, I'm the only person that could do the job. That's a typical thinking that everybody has. But if you really, again, chunk it down and differentiate, you're not the same for me. You're not good at everything. There's people who are simply better at certain things, and it's the mission of a solopreneur or entrepreneur to find these processes, steps, or tasks where other people, you can leverage more out of it to become better towards your client for your business. So not thinking that you are the only one that they can do anything and everything. And number two, what I see a lot of times is thinking, if you want to grow, I'm just saying, if you want to grow or even stabilize, just relying on your network. That's probably the most classic one that is out there. I can get my clients through my partners, my network, and this is just not a scalable way. It's like playing Russian roulette. You're giving all hope to external people to give you clients. I think, or I'm of the opinion that if you want to grow or even stabilize your solopreneurship, being a freelancer or grow a business, you need to be able to, first of all, get attention or know who your clients are, get in touch with your clients, and being able to get projects, get clients in a scalable, repeatable way, because you're not dependent. And I think that's one of the most important steps that I would say that is lacking.
What I see from your professional journey is that one of your go-to platform where to find clients is LinkedIn. So
Sure.
I'm curious, what freelancers who want to get clients on LinkedIn must do first?
They should, first of all, use LinkedIn, because many times they are actually not using it. And then I always say at the beginning, see LinkedIn as a landing page. Let's not worry about a website where you spend 15K and then you're still not getting anything, because it's just an informational website if you're not using SEO whatsoever. Clear positioning on LinkedIn. Number one is really clear positioning. Who are you? What does your business stand for? What do you offer? To whom? Very important. To whom and to whom not? The headline and the banner should represent your USP, maybe also your ICP. Obviously, it should be very clear what is your service or your product, because that speaks directly to your target audience, and because that's basically the top of your LinkedIn page, and then content. I'm not saying we need to be influencers, but one, two content posts, some articles. It depends on how often you want to post, but you can speak directly to your target audience. Even if they're very technical, on LinkedIn, you can find literally every B2B person on earth. It's actually a great platform to do so, to represent your expertise and get in touch with your real clients.
And I feel like it's very important to remember that when you are choosing a platform, like you're choosing like YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. So the number one thing is go where your clients are, because
Exactly.
people are on LinkedIn, they're like going there because of the job. They're not going there to search for some videos or photos, whatever. They go there to find some professional part. So I feel like
Exactly.
it's already ready, waiting for you to be there.
Well, I'm always saying, imagine 10, 15 years ago, that someone would have told you, I have this platform where there's a couple of billion people. They're all business people and they literally are all connected. It's easy to get in touch with them. It doesn't cost you anything if you don't want to pay for a couple of extras. And you can basically talk to them if you can help them in their project. It's for free. You would call them nuts. These days we have this. Yes, there's limitations. We have other platforms, but it is the case. You have from employees till managers and big corporates, they are on LinkedIn. And the good thing compared to Meta, if not saying Meta is not working, but they don't have fake names. Usually it's a real name, it's a real position. Yes, you can boost it up a little bit, but it makes it rather easy these days, or it was definitely. And definitely for me, a must that I recommend to everyone using LinkedIn in the B2B, especially in the IT.
For those who listen now, what is one small step to take right away to grow beyond working solo?
One step is I would look behind my own curtains and try to understand the value that I'm delivering to my clients. Because connecting to your previous questions, what I hear like the common mistake, freelancers in particular value, and we hear that a lot these days also from others, value their own value and time because clients do so. And I think probably talked about this in other interviews, podcasts a lot. It's not the value, the time that you're delivering. And to make freelancers understand, because I know it's a mindset shift. Yeah, if everybody's talking, don't sell your hours, sell your your end result, your value. But it's difficult to understand and look behind the curtain. So one thing that I would recommend doing to freelancers who want to make that step, take a look at their last 10, 20 or however projects. Is there an industry specialty that you might didn't know you actually have? Because in a lot of cases, we have sometimes more than half of the projects in the banking area, and we weren't aware. So see where you have industry specific know-how that you build up and see what was the value that you delivered actually as an end result, and not just, yeah, I did this coding and I did this go live. And what was the end goal, the end value for the client? Was he or she or it able to, I don't know, sell more products in their, e-commerce shop? That is the value that you're actually being able to deliver. And step for step, you can build your positioning, your USP, your ICP into a standardized offering, into a real business value that you're delivering towards your clients. And that's something that I would recommend freelancers to take a look at the very first step.
I feel like it's also a very hard part to switch from like counting hours you spend for clients into like the value you gave to clients, and sometimes it's really hard to really gauge this value.
It is super difficult, and I think these days it's too easy said, like, because you cannot just go, client, I'm now not selling my hours anymore, I'm gonna sell you the end. That's not realistic. Yeah, because we hear that a lot. It's a soft switch. I think you add certain packages. That's why I always say standardized services, service offering. You add it to your portfolio, because you can have small packages. So for one thing that any freelancer could do right away, the first small package, start with an audit, a pre-analysis, a workshop. there it's perfect when you say, instead of, out invoicing 2-3 days, like times 8 or however you structure the workshop, just make a fixed price. That's your first certain package, because you can absolutely tell this is the outcome. And it's also the first door opener. What I say, create small packages at the beginning and then work yourself up the ladder. I don't think in the IT, like invoicing by the hour is called time and material. So invoicing by it's not per se a bad thing. If we have big projects over 6-12 months, I would even recommend doing that kind of servicing, because you have a lot of risk if you say everything is just standardized at a fixed price. But if you are, and this is important for freelancers to understand, if you are approaching new clients, you haven't been in touch with them, and no partner, no friend or colleague is recommending you, so you actually are getting in touch with them. You knock on their door, now you're going to ask, do you have a project for, let's say, 300 man days the next year? It's very unlikely that the client would say, oh, here you go, let's try it out. So you need to build trust. You need to build a relationship, like an emotional relationship with the client as well. That's why you have certain smaller packages that build up onto each other to deliver quicker value to the client, to build a relationship, to open the doors to bigger projects.
Patrick, I wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit to our conversation. So the final question, what is your quick take on the freelance economy and how it will develop in the near future?
Good question as well. I think it's going to develop very positively, even though a lot of people are saying the freelance market or the market in general is deteriorating. If you look at the statistics, it's exactly the opposite. It's growing and growing and growing. I think very important for freelancers in the future. You can be on the side where companies look at you that you're like a resource, like a cost factor for companies. Because that's the case if you're just delivering time by the money by the hour. Because if you're just servicing your skill for a certain amount of euros or dollars, they see you as a cost factor, as a resource. They can put you in, they can take you out, they can exchange you. That's what you don't want to be. You want to be on the value deliverer side, that you help the client achieve X, Y, Z, gain more sales, reduce costs or whatsoever. And I think it's very important that that freelancers are on the value side in the future, that comes with a clear positioning, an ICP, a UCB, a standardized service offering, a lead generation, marketing and sales process to build on. Very simple. I'm saying simple, that can be done by a one-man show. So being not dependent on others. And I think if you're positioning yourself in that direction, the market will grow, so thus will the freelancing business. So I think it's very, very positive and fruitful, but we have to do the correct steps.
So you will be at the Freelance Unlocked Conference, you'll be speaking there, but what would you say to your friend if you've met them and they asked you whether they should go to the Freelance Unlocked?
Well, truth be told, I invited all my friends to come, so so they should come and support us there. But yeah, aside the joke, no, I mean, I've been watching the last one, and the last year it looked pretty awesome. Very good speeches, great speakers, and I believe anybody who is is a freelancer, becoming a freelancer, or even businesses should attend, because the community that's being built there is pretty valuable. And I'm quite surprised that now that in recent weeks, speaking to colleagues, to clients, I was like, yeah, you're going to the Freelance Unlocked. How many people are already going? It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I'll meet you there. So yes, I would recommend it for sure.
Got it. And what is the best way to connect with you even before the conference?
LinkedIn. I would say LinkedIn is a very good channel to reach me. YouTube as well. Those channels, Meta as well, TikTok even, but I would say LinkedIn is a good way.
Got it, Patrick. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom even before the conference, and I can't wait to meet you in person and learn even more from you very, very soon.
Thank you, Yuri. It was a pleasure. Looking forward.
And for those who listen, I hope you learn from Patrick's experience and say thank you to him in person at the Freelance Unlocked Conference on May 14th, 15th, 2025 in Berlin. So go to freelanceunlocked.com, grab your ticket and meet you there.